All right. Peace and love, everyone. Peace and love. Welcome to the Genesis Gateway Roundtable discussions. Just want to take a moment to ask if you all can hear me. Please put a 1 in the chat if the audio is clear. All right. And for those of you that are out there on YouTube, please also put a 1 in the chat if the audio is clear. Just want to make sure that you all can hear us. Okay, perfect. Welcome again. This is our second roundtable discussion for Genesis Gateway. We thank you all for taking the time out this evening to be with us. We are super grateful that you have taken the time to be here with us this evening. We do not take your time for granted. All right, so we just want to go over a little reminder here. As we enter into the Gateway discussions, we just want to remind you all that all of the information that is being disseminated on these weekly calls is considered trust property, right? And these calls are being facilitated by a conglomerate of beneficial owners who partnered together to bring you information. And we know that we cannot control how people utilize the information that we provide. Therefore, all beneficial owners are held harmless and exempt from any liability arising from how you choose to use the information that you hear on these calls each week. This week, we're going to be discussing the systemic traps and the illusion of freedom as it relates to the different various contracts that people enter into out there in commerce, right? How do you deal with these things? So we just want to have a roundtable discussion this evening. This is an interactive call, right? So we would love for you to engage either verbally or in the chat if you're viewing from YouTube. Feel free to place your comments down into the comment section of the video that you're watching, right? Because we would love to hear your feedback, right? We want to continue to bring you quality information, and we pray that the information is beneficial to you in some way. All right. My name is Nadiva. I am facilitator for this evening, and I am going to go ahead and turn the floor over to the speaker for this evening. Mikhail, are you there?
Yes, peace and love. I'm here.
All right, peace and love. The floor is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. Tonight we're discussing what we call, or what we all should call, the woes of Babylon. And let me explain what that means if you're not familiar, because that's very important to all of us, and we are all affected directly and indirectly. So the woes of Babylon is about debt bondage. It's about financial oppression. It's about the taxation that you experience no matter where you go and no matter what you're spending. Every time you buy, there is a tax. Is that right or is that wrong? What can you do to avoid that? What can you do to leverage that for your benefit? You think you're free, but are you really free? What does that look like? Because that's very important that you understand not only who you are, but whose you are. And there's expectations and benefits when you know whose you are and when you know who you are. So we'll be talking about that as well. We'll also be touching on wage slavery. You can call it human trafficking. If you are working a 40-hour-a-week job from 18 to 65, that is wage slavery. That is human trafficking. And I'll break that down to you as well so that you really understand what that means. Because many of us have no clue of what's really going on around us on a daily basis. And so we really want to get into that tonight. I know we don't have a lot of time. We'll get started. And whatever we don't finish, we'll take that up next week. All right? And if you have any questions, feel free to send those questions over to us. We'll address those questions that you may have, and we'll go from there. So, Babylon. We are in Babylon. Now, you may not understand that, so let me say it this way. We are in a matrix. a debt matrix. It's all set up to extract our wealth. The benefit that we thought we were receiving, someone else is receiving that benefit instead of you. And so it's going to be important for you to listen closely to what I'm going to be sharing this evening. Make sure that if you have questions about what you hear, let us know so we can break it down a little clearer for you as well. Every time you go to your 9-to-5 job, Monday through Friday or whatever schedule you have, it's important to know what's really taking place when you go to that job. Now, the Hebrew definition of job, a job, is persecution. So you are happy to go to persecution every single day. And you're so happy that you continue to do it from age 18 up until the age of 65, or for some of you, 75, 70 years old. You get happy and you get conditioned in doing something that you shouldn't be doing or you don't really have to do. But you continue to do it. Why? Because you have no other option. You don't know what another option looks like. And so when you think about the woes of Babylon, this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. Because you came into this world, and when you came into this world, you came in as a creditor, and the world told you you were a debtor. And you believed them. Why? Because your grandparents believed it, and your parents believed it. And they conditioned you, and you believed it. And you moved the same way they did, from a slave mindset, a slave mentality, and you continued to do what slaves do. And so you suffer all the days of your life, never realizing that that wasn't the plan that our Heavenly Father had for us. So what do you do now? What does that look like? Because something has to change. If you've ever felt as though something wasn't right, as though you wish you could turn back the hands of time, or you felt as though someone was taking advantage of you, then someone did take advantage. They took advantage of you, extracted your interest, extracted any credit they could get from you, extracted securities from you, extracted your wealth. And you allowed them to. That's important to know, because it's not an individual around you that you point fingers at, that you're pointing fingers at yourself. Knowledge is very important. Applied knowledge is even more important. But you have to understand how this system works. The system is set up to take advantage of you. And these corporations are part of the system. Now think about this. You have a corporation A. Corporation A has zero value, zero revenue in its account. How does it accumulate revenue? How does it accumulate interest? How does it accumulate securities? They go out and they contract with an entity. Now, keep this in mind. They can only contract with 3 different types of entities. That's the only 3 they can contract with. They can contract with another corporation or LLC. That's one, which is another business. They can contract with another business, which is a trust. And they can contract with an estate. Now, if they contract with another business, that means that's going to be an EIN number assigned to that business, whether it's an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, any of those. Or they can contract with a trust, and a trust is going to have an EIN number as well. The most important one out of those 3 is going to be contract with an estate. That's where they gain their wealth, interest, securities, because you are the estate that they contract. Your person, that name and number on your Social Security card, on your birth certificate. That is the entity that they contract with. Why would they do that? Obviously, that's how they become a valued corporation or a valued business, not on their own abilities, on the ability to extract securities or extract interest and wealth from you. Well, how do they extract that from you? Each one of you have your own private estate account. Now, some of you may have heard conversations regarding estate accounts, Sister QV, but you each have your own private estate account. You really do. And these corporations need to contract with you so they can set themselves up to be trustees of your private estate account. Because whatever debt that you owe to this corporation, they're extracting the payment from your private estate account. Now, hold on. You sent them a payment, or did you? What you sent them was a donation. You sent them a donation, and that donation was in the form of Federal Reserve notes. And what's the definition of Federal Reserve notes? Isn't that a debt instrument? How do you pay a debt with a debt? Are you really paying a debt? What do you think they're doing with that donation that you gave them every single month? Whether it's a utility bill, whether it's a car payment, whether it's a credit card payment. If they're extracting interest from your private estate account or lawful money from your private estate account to pay the debt, then why are you giving them a donation? Because that's what you're doing. All you're doing is giving them a donation every month. Does that make sense? And some people will call that double dipping because they're applying lawful money from their private estate to debt. Now they're also receiving from you a donation every month. If they're receiving a donation from you every single month, let me give you an example of what that looks like. Let's say it's a utility bill. Let's say your utility bill every month is $100. At the end of the year, that's $1,200. If you report that $1,200 donation, the interest received by you would be $2,880. That's fantastic that you're receiving the interest of $2,880 on $1,200 that you donated to that corporation and utility. That's a better position to be in than a position that you've been in all these years, because you've been filing taxes, which you're not supposed to do. You should not be filing taxes at all. You should be reporting. I just had a conference today as well, and I was sharing with everybody in the conference that debtors, slaves, 9-to-5 workers file taxes. The entrepreneurs, the wealthy, do not file taxes. They report all of the donations that they have made to these corporations. And they receive in return the interest that was due to them. You should be doing the same thing, don't you think?
Mikhail.
Yes.
I'm getting reports that your volume is low.
It's low? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I can make an adjustment. Try to make an adjustment.
All right. Let me know if this sounds better.
Yes, that's much better. And just speak up for us a little bit more. That's much, much better.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So where was I? You are receiving interest when you are reporting as opposed to filing taxes. And maybe you receive, well, let me back up for a moment. Now, I've been aware of this for several years. The first time Trump came into office, let me mention this. First time he came into office, I told everyone, I said, the first thing he's doing is going over there to IRS, is going to change the rules. Now, a year before he came into office, I said, listen, when Trump comes into office, there's going to be some changes. I said that to some of my clients who were filing, this is what I'm saying, they were filing tax returns and they were receiving $7, $8, $9,000 back filing tax returns. And they had been doing this for several years and they were happy and satisfied with this process. But I said, he's going to change the rules. And that's exactly what he did. He went over to the IRS when he came into office the first time, not the second time, the first time, and he went over there and changed the rules. I said, listen, you're not going to be getting any more $7, $8, $9,000 tax returns back when you file your taxes. And they laughed at me because they had been receiving these large tax returns for 6, 7, 8 years. So how am I to come and tell them it's over? It's not going to continue. And sure enough, he went over and changed the rules. Why did he change the rules? Because you should not be receiving large tax returns when you file taxes. You should not. Those are left for those who report it. Because that was a good thing that he did that. Because it should force you to adjust your thinking and begin to report your filings or your taxes as opposed to, well, what you're doing, you're reporting your donations. You should be reporting your donations as opposed to filing taxes on your W-2s. Now, I can go deep into this if you like, because when you go to work for a company, that company that you're working for, your employer, is not paying you out of their pocket. Excuse me. They're not paying you out of their pocket. They're paying you out of your pocket. So they're receiving free labor from you every single day that you go to work for them. Every day. Now I want you to think about that. They're receiving free labor from you and they're giving you a paycheck out of your private estate account. Just let that marinate for a minute. They receive your paycheck from your estate account up to the age of 75 for men, up to the age of 72 for women. And if you're receiving your own paycheck from your estate account, why would you be filing taxes on that? Doesn't make sense. There's no common sense involved in that process of filing taxes. But someone who is incompetent, someone who's on a 9 to 5, they don't know. They don't have the knowledge to know, to understand, to comprehend what is really happening to them. They're in a game of chess playing checkers where you can never win. And let me say this as well. If you are paying out more interest than what you are receiving, you will never get ahead in life. I'll say that again. If you are paying out more interest than what you are receiving, there's no possible way that you can get ahead in life. And that is the key. You should be receiving more interest than what you're paying out. And so if you paid out $1,200 and you receive $2,880 every year, financially you're guaranteed to get ahead in life financially. That's going to be important. So understanding Babylon and why it's important to leave Babylon is what we're here about what that looks like, about what you need to do, about the changes you need to make now so that you can start to win instead of lose. See, you're on the losing side of a scenario or of a situation or of an account. Account is created. The benefit in that account is the credit. The benefit of that account is the interest. The benefit in that account is the securities, and you're not receiving any of that. What are you receiving? The debt that places you deeper and deeper in a hole every single day. And you are happy and conditioned to continue to stay in that position the rest of your life. And you complain and complain and complain and wonder why no one cares about you complaining. No one has time to care about you complaining about your situation that you allowed yourself to be in. You have to get the knowledge and understanding. You have to study to show yourself improved. It's all on you, not someone else. Keep that in mind. You cannot expect someone else to do everything for you. You have to take the first step, most likely the second and third step, until you get to a point where someone can now add to what you've already accomplished, add to the knowledge that you've already gained, and point you in the right direction. So the woes of Babylon are affecting you at work, on the job. It's affecting your loan, home loan, car loan, school loan. It doesn't matter. Your credit card accounts as well. There's a lot of information that you want to understand. There's more that you need to know. When you look at a credit card, how was that credit card account set up? Keep in mind, I already mentioned, already shared with you that account allows the credit card company to step in as a trustee to access your estate account. So let's say they allow you graciously to have a $10,000 credit limit. That's what you see. What do they see? They see $10,000 credit coming from your estate account every month. And you've had that account for 3 years. You do the math. $10,000 every month for 3 years. And they have you playing around with $10,000 for the entire 3 years. And you may or may not even use that credit card account. But they are getting paid because of you. Why? Because you are the money. You cannot expect to tell me that you are created in the image of the Most High God, who is wealthy, and you're allowing this to happen to you. You're allowing the enemy to take advantage of you. And when someone steps up to educate you, they're wrong and you're right, but you're the one suffering. How make sense of that? There's no common sense in that. There's got to be something else going on. There's got to be. There's got to be more to it. There is more to it. And I advise everyone on this call to pick up your Bible and start to study. Start to read in order to comprehend. Start to read to understand and to apply the knowledge that's available to you now. Go ahead, Nadine.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
One thing that you said regarding the contracts in terms of the interest.
Yes.
What if, and this is to the audience so that you can reflect on this, what if we told you that there is a way for you to receive back the interest associated with every single contract that you signed, whether it be a credit card, a mortgage, car loan, whatever the case may be, unsecured or secured debt, for you to receive back the values associated with that contract by making the proper reporting on the tax form, on the taxes, right? Because just like Mikhail said, it's definitely a shift in the mindset, but instead of filing, you're definitely reporting. So there is a way to get those values back, but it's going to take a shift and for you to move over onto the other side of the ledger, because there's two sides of the ledger that you can see and the ledger that you can't see. And the corporations are monetizing your contract times 10 immediately, right off the bat, as soon as you sign. They have a process that they take your contracts through in order for them to benefit on the side of the ledger that you can't see. They're already benefiting, but then they're imposing the debt to you, just like Mikhail said, they're double dipping. So they're receiving on the other side of the ledger, and then they're charging you on the public side of the ledger. So they're double dipping. You have the ability to claim back those values. What if we told you that there's a process that you can do to claim those values back? And that's what we want to bring out, because there are things on the table that people can benefit from. We just want you to continue to tune in to these weekly discussions. And that's why we're here. So I just wanted to bring that out so that the people know this is not just theory. These are real processes. These are real things that people have actually done. And I yield back to you, Mikhail.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's why it's going to be very important for many of you. I won't say all of you, but many of you to study scripture, because the answers have always been there right in front of your face this entire time, but you never applied them in your life. So if you don't apply the knowledge, you won't gain wisdom. And let's say you have a mortgage and it's $400,000 loan, got a house, congratulations, start making these mortgage payments, but you haven't collected the interest. If you have a $400,000 mortgage, then you would be receiving $960,000 back in interest. It's a lot of interest, but it's enough to make your mortgage payments. It's enough to pay off the loan with excess left over. Of course, this would have to go into your trust account. Now, let me tell you, you have to understand this too. When you receive that $960,000 back, it has to go into a trust account. Let me say this as well, because this right here will catch many off guard. You think you have personal checking and savings accounts because that's what they're titled. There's no such thing as a personal checking and savings accounts. Why? Because a living man and living woman cannot hold assets. They own no assets. So what is that checking and savings account that you have, that you call a personal checking and savings account, that has the name on the Social Security card, that has the name on the birth certificate. That is called an estate account, because banks can only open up 3 types of accounts. Corporation LLC, that's a business with an EIN number. A trust with an EIN number. And an estate account with a Social Security number tied to it. That is an estate account. There's no such thing, and it never will be, of a personal checking and savings account. They have been deceiving all of us for so many years. So you have a checking and savings estate account. Let that sink in. It's very important that you hear us this evening, because this is information that can set you free, that can change your life forever. Just imagine receiving in your estate account $960,000 and you're struggling to make a mortgage payment. Just imagine having that utility account, $1,200 that you donated, and receiving almost $3,000 back in interest. Would that change your life? It would change mine. It has changed mine. And it'll change yours as well. Your perspective changes. But you have to now start to think differently. You can't think as a minor or a slave or an incompetent individual. You have to think differently now. You are a majority. You are now responsible for handling your business and not allowing corporations to take advantage of it. That's going to be important as you move forward. So there's more that we will discuss as well. I know we're coming close to the end of this call. I want to be able to answer any questions that you may have as well. So if there's anyone with any questions, now would be the time to make that request known so we can address that for you.
And while we're waiting for those questions to come in, I just want to reiterate that when people look at the scenario with these contracts, they do believe that they have certain protections in place, the illusion of protection, right? Because when it comes to enforcing your rights, a lot of people lean to the laws and the codes that they believe is available to them. But when it comes to asserting your rights in terms of contractual rights, it can be kind of shaky because you have to have understanding of what it is that you're trying to go after or pursue, or what it is that you're trying to enforce as it relates to that contract. So what happens on the public side is that many people are subject to the legalese, and many people just simply don't understand legalese. Especially the way that it's written. It's written in a way that you really can't understand it, right? Especially utilizing the English language, which is a bastardized language. But in order to really truly begin the process of separating yourself from the system and what Mikhail is speaking about in terms of leaving Babylon, you have to speak to the system with a different language other than the language that they created. And so one of the strategies that people may want to look at is, how do we speak to the system that's oppressing us and that is stealing the interest associated with the contracts that we sign? How do we get the values back? And I can tell you that is not going to be by utilizing their language. There has to be a clear and distinct separation between the fiction and the real, right? There has to be a divorce that takes place. Because if you don't divorce yourself, it's gonna be difficult for you to begin to try to claim those values that's on the other side of that ledger that we spoke about.
Yes, that's definitely important. There has to be a separation there between you and the estate. You don't want to be the surety for the estate either. And that's something that a lot of people don't comprehend as well. Because you say that name is me and I am that name. Are you really? Who owns that name? Because based on what I've said so far, it sounds like someone else owns that name. They control that name. You're the surety for that name. You can use that name, but the benefits that go along with that name are received by someone else. You're not receiving the benefits that are associated with that name. Someone else is. Think about the benefits that you're receiving today, those who have a 9-to-5 job. Where are the real benefits at? You haven't collected them. You haven't received those benefits yet. You get a mortgage, $400,000, like I said earlier. You get that mortgage and receive $960,000 back in interest. That's the benefit. You haven't received that yet. So what are you receiving? Letters in the mail saying, if you don't send this mortgage payment in, we're going to extract you out of that house, and we're going to keep the house, retain the house, and all of the interest as well, leaving you with what? Zero. Less than zero. So where's your benefit at? Where's your interest at?
One of the things too, Mikael, that I just thought of as you just made the statement that you made that a lot of people may not know in terms of mortgages is that many of these states are, well, the counties really, the counties are set up to where it's a like a first in line type scenario. Many people don't realize that when you close on a mortgage, the first person, and I use the word person lightly, because we know a person is fiction, but the first person to file paperwork on that mortgage wins. And so while people are excited that they've just closed on the house, you've received the keys, but the lender is doing something else behind the scenes while you wait for that 3-day right of rescission. Right? These are some of the things that you need to know. And this is the reason why, you want to be a part of a group that can provide the education that you need. So when you enter into these types of transactions, you're not entering into those transactions as an incompetent minor.
Very true. There was this lady, and she applied for a school loan. When she applied for a school loan, let me kind of mention this as well. Anytime you apply for a loan and you complete that credit application and you sign it, what are you putting on that signature line? You're putting on the signature line the name of the estate. It has nothing to do with you. It is the name of the estate only. That is a blank endorsement, and you didn't even know it. And so the damage that's being done, you're doing it to yourself. You truly are. Now, when you're applying for a school loan or any other loan, especially a school loan, let me say this, especially a school loan, if you sign correctly, then you'll be receiving interest from that school loan. But if you don't sign correctly, all you'll receive is a letter stating how much you're going to have to pay. This lady signed the school loan correctly. She did not give them a blank endorsement. And she received a check. They totally caught her off guard. She didn't know how powerful the signature was. If it's powerful enough to create securities, then it should be powerful enough for you to receive interest. So she received over $4,000 in interest back immediately because she signed the school loan correctly. She was so excited. She called me, sent me a text message, showed me the documentation. They asked her, what do you want to do with this interest? She said, what interest? She said, the interest that's owed to you. She said, can you? So the lady had explained to her, she totally caught her off guard. It was over $4,000 in interest that she received immediately upon signature on the school loan application. I told you, your signature is valuable. It creates securities. It creates interest. It creates credit. It makes people wealthy. Corporations become wealthy off of your signature, but not you.
Right.
That's just one example. There's many examples out there.
We have a comment here that says the mortgage company writes up an agreement from you and then gives it to you to sign as if you wrote it, and it's all in their favor. Mm. That is very true. Very, very true. They took your position in the transaction, and many people don't know. And one of the other things is lack of full disclosure. And that's in most transactions. You simply don't know what it is that your signature is doing on behalf of the pretender lender. There's some things that are happening behind the scenes that you're not aware of.
Correct.
And so that lack of full disclosure is what keeps you in bondage and entitles them to the credits.
And we use that word. I'm going to use that word very loosely. Lack of full disclosure. Because you have a responsibility to yourself to know how to handle your business. And until you know how to handle your business, don't enter into contracts. Because they're going to make sure they win. They're not going to make sure you do. You have to make sure you win in the contract. You have to report to the IRS what took place in this contract, not them. They're going to report their side of the story, not yours. So do they have to disclose their business because they know how to handle their business? No. You handle your business, figure out what that looks like, and move forward. But just don't complain. No one wants to hear your complaint.
Here's another thing. It's a contract, right? Whether it's unilateral or bilateral. Many contracts are unilateral. However, their performance is not separate and independent from your performance. So if there's a duty for you to perform, there's also a duty for the lender to perform. And so the performance on both sides of that contract is not separate from the other. So if you have a duty to perform, that lender also has a fiduciary duty to do what is required of them. Part of the issue is that the lenders or pretender lenders are not being held accountable in terms of what their performance is supposed to be. And so in order for you to compel them to perform, there's certain knowledge and information that you need to know in terms of how to get them to perform so that you can receive back the credits and the interest that Mikhail is speaking of, right? You need that knowledge to be able to know how to compel them to perform.
And with that knowledge, you'll have the ability to step out of an incompetent minor position to a majority. But until you gain that knowledge, that's where you will always be. And you cannot gain that knowledge out here on social media following this person, that person, and everyone else. That is there to confuse you and keep you in that position of an incompetent minor. It's always been that way, and it always will be. It won't change. You have to find the right network to plug into that has the answers you've been looking for all this time, or just stop complaining. Keep doing what you're doing. Stop complaining. See, everybody has had an opportunity somewhere along the way that says, hey, let me speak to you. I have some information to share with you that will help you financially. Everybody. Did you listen? Did you move? Did you study? Did you learn? What? What happened? Anything? That's going to be very important. Very important.
We have a 3-part question. Let me read the first part of the question. First part of the question is, how do we get the knowledge to hold the lenders to be accountable? That's the first part.
Okay, so how do we get the knowledge to hold the lenders to be accountable? You gain the let me say this. When you say hold the lenders to be accountable, that's not what you're trying to do. You gain the knowledge to handle your business, handle your side of the ledger, so that you can receive the interest that's owed to you. You're not trying to hold them accountable. They're going to do what they're going to do. It doesn't matter what they do. You got to handle your business. The knowledge guides you into the documents, the process, any paperwork that you have to be able to complete to receive the $960,000 on a $400,000 mortgage, or the $2,800 on a $1,200 annual utility donation. We don't care about the lender at all whatsoever. They're going to take care of their business, and that's what we have to remember. Scripture says, mind your own business. So trying to hold the lender to be accountable is minding their business. We don't want to mind their business. They're going to do what they're going to do. It doesn't matter what they do. What matters is what you do with the knowledge that you receive. And if you have no knowledge, then you receive whatever they give you, which is the debt. That's very important to understand. There's no accountability that you're going to require or place at the doorstep of the lender. The accountability comes from you, not them. Be accountable for handling your business the right way, and you will receive your benefit as it was supposed to be in the beginning. But you don't go to the lender saying, you owe me this and you owe. No, they don't. You have to handle your business. And when you do, you will receive the interest or the credit that is due to you.
And the second part to that question is, how do we get out of the traps we are in?
So the traps you are in, keep in mind, you placed yourself in those traps. The lender just came along and did what they was going to do. So coming out of the traps means gaining the knowledge and handling your business accordingly. So, of course, we can walk you through that process of gaining that knowledge so that you can handle your business accordingly. Fill out this paperwork, fill out these documents, submit this, submit that. Next thing you know, you're receiving instead of paying out. And you will always, at that point, be receiving more than what you pay out, meaning you will always get ahead financially in life forever.
And the last part to that question, she says, how do we get our money?
Oh, how do we get our money. Well, you can get your money the same way I get my money. There's documents that you're going to complete to fill out. And when you complete those documents or forms, then you'll have to have a trust account set up, because when the IRS says, okay, you're owed $960,000, where does it go? It cannot go into a checking or savings estate account, which is what you have right now. If you place it in one of those accounts, they will take that money and you will never see it again. I know too many people who have received. They thought they can just deposit it into that individual checking or savings account. And I told you, that is not an individual checking or savings account. No matter what the bank or the credit union tells you, you do not have an individual checking or savings account. Now, what you can do is look up the word individual and find out what that means. But don't look up that definition in a Merriam-Webster dictionary, because it's not going to give you the right definition at all. So that means you got to look elsewhere, because it don't mean what you think it means at all.
Yeah, that's true. I remember looking up that definition a few years ago, and I was surprised at the meaning, just like I was surprised at the meaning of a person, learning about that 10 plus years ago, not realizing that they designate a person as an entity, that a person is a corporation. It's a lot of tricks with legalese, you know?
That is correct. And that is intended to confuse you. And obviously it works, because majority of people today are very, very confused. They don't have a clue of what's really going on around them with all the accounts and so forth. They just don't know. So it's going to be very important moving forward that you plug in to the information so you get access to the knowledge that's going to change your situation forever. And know that there's responsibility that goes along with this as well. Got to be more responsible for what you do and what you know.
Yes. To circle back on your request for the definition of individual. All right. You can probably look it up in Chat GPT, but the most common definition from what I'm seeing here is a natural person who is required to file a personal income tax return form 1040. Interesting. Just like you said, it's a lot of tricks, because even if you look up the definition, a natural person is not what you think. It's all deception, just like she said in the comment section. Do we have any feedback coming from YouTube? Any questions from the external platform that we may need to answer? So I want to make sure we give everyone a chance to put their questions in. All right. Or you can always chime in. You can always chime in later. The live stream will be available on the respective YouTube channels out there that you're currently watching. And these videos will be up, so you can come back. Now, here's what you want to do after you get off of this call, because we are rounding towards the end of today's roundtable discussion. We hope that this was enlightening. As we move forward with subsequent weeks, just know that the conversations will intensify a bit. So we don't want to overwhelm you initially, right? But we want you to continue to come back each week. Each week we will be on, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, whether you are joining the Zoom call from a link that you would have received in your email, or you're tuning into a respective YouTube channel where this is live streaming in real time, we do welcome you to come back. Now, here's what you want to do. If you are watching this live stream on YouTube and you have questions or you want more information on how to move forward, what you're going to want to do is go into the main page of that particular YouTube channel, locate the email address, and go ahead and send an email to the owner of that particular channel. They will respond back to you. They will respond. Or what you can do is check your email. You would have received an email if you filled out the initial form on the website to watch the free webinar. If you completed the form, that means that you are already a part of our contact list. You can reply back to the email from the confirmation that you received when you completed the form. So everyone that is watching this particular live stream or listening, you're on our email list. You should be anyway, right? You're on the email list. So you just have to reply back to that email. All right. Now, here's another thing that you want to look out for. On the website, and this is coming this week, you will be able to gain access to a Telegram where you can send a message directly with your questions. Okay, so you have multiple ways to get a hold of the person that referred you to this call. You have multiple ways to get a hold of the contact at the YouTube channel that you're currently watching. You have ways to contact us. We just need you to stay plugged in. If you're watching this from a YouTube channel that you just happen to stumble upon out there by doing a search, then you definitely want to go ahead and just message the channel on the video, and the applicable administrator will get you the information that you need in terms of how to plug into the website. Okay, either way. Now, if you have completed the form on the website to watch the free webinar, what we're going to do tonight is go ahead and send you an invite to the Genesis Gateway. All right, it's just going to be automatic. So you want to go ahead and watch your emails. Okay, and in order for you to get the invite, you have to complete the form. And there are some resources inside of the Genesis Gateway for you. There's a guide available for you to give you some additional education, right? There are things in there that you're going to want to see. So what we're going to do tonight, like I said, is we'll send out an email for your invite, and you just simply have to click the link and make the request to join the Genesis Gateway at no charge. All right, just come on in so that we can continue the conversation and we can get you going with the necessary education that you need in order to move forward, folks. You got to ask yourself a question. How long are you going to wait to move forward? I know that there are a lot of gimmicks out there. There are a lot of educators out there. There's things that many people have heard before, things that people are tired of hearing at this point because, you know, this space has been ongoing for probably over 20 years, you know. So we want to invite you in to the Genesis Gateway to have those conversations that's going to be set apart from anything that you've ever heard out there. More substance, more meaningful conversations, and, you know, we'll give you some steps on how to move forward. So you want to become knowledgeable and get connected with real people who have real experiences, who have done things in this space. All right. So this is just one of those things you gotta pray about this one and just make sure that this is going to be a good fit for you. But we do encourage you to at least join the Gateway so that you can see what's happening. All right. Does anyone have any final questions before we end, whether on YouTube or inside of this Zoom call? Any final questions, thoughts, anything at all before we close? Is everyone clear on how to move forward from this point? Is everyone clear? And remember, you gotta complete that form, because otherwise we can't send you an invite if we don't have your email address. We can't message you if we don't have your phone number. If you want to speak to a live person When you complete that form, please put your telephone number in. We're real people. We're trying to help people move forward in a way that they have never seen. In order to go places that you've never gone, you have to do things that you've never done. All right. So when you're filling out that form, please put your phone number in so that we can contact you. Because you may miss an email, and sometimes our emails may go into your spam box. So in order to avoid that, just put your phone number in and someone will reach out to you. All right. Any final thoughts or questions before we close? Mikhail, any final thoughts for the audience before we close?
At this point, uh, you're at a crossroads. Do you move forward to gain more knowledge, or do you remain where you are and continue to lack knowledge? Because where you are will always lead to a dead end. It will always lead to frustration. It will always lead you somewhere that you don't want to be. And there won't be anybody at the end of that path but you and those who made the same decision that you made. So sooner or later, you're going to want to make a decision and move in a different direction. Think about that, pray about that, study more scripture, and you'll find the answer you're looking for. You'll realize that this is the path that he has led you to, and you'll be able to make the changes. Because this change is not just for you, it's for your family. That's what you cannot forget, ever. The decisions that you make affect you and your family, your descendants. So make a decision not just for yourself, but for them. Make the right decision. I'll turn it back over to you, Adiva. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mikhail. All right, everyone. Peace and love to everyone. We hope that this discussion was beneficial to you. Please continue to come back every week. We love to hear from you. And don't forget to give us legitimate email addresses and telephone numbers so that we may be in contact with you in the near future. Peace and love, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Shalom, shalom.